Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. I'd just like to say before I start that I had no idea that Palestinian activism in Europe was so strong, well organized, vibrant, and passionate as I can see it today, and it just fills me with joy. My name is Rune, and I've been an activist with an organization called ISM, International Solidarity Movement. It's an organization that was created during the Second Intifada in order to channel international activists into Palestine, to train them and prepare them and put them in the right places so they could be as useful as possible on the ground. And I've been asked to share some of my experiences here today, and this I'm very happy to do. Now, coming to Palestine in 2011, like I did, was very different from going to Palestine today. 2011, there was a lot of activism going on the ground, and the Israeli democracy was doing everything it could to keep people who disagreed out of Palestine as well as 48 Israel. The interrogations in the airport were a little intense. Shin Bet agents were there. They were driven by a hatred that was really hard for me to understand as a newcomer. And the images of those first visits are still with me. The sea of tear gas launched by soldiers in Nabi Saleh, Bilin, Nilin, Kufar Kadum, the daily violence of the settlers in Al-Khalil, in Hawara, in South Hebron Hills, in Sheikh Jarrah, kidnapping of children at checkpoints. There was never a day when nothing happened. And of course, this is one of the things the world needs to understand. There is never a day of peace in Palestine. There is never a day when no Palestinians are terrorized, limited, robbed of their resources, their land, their children, their crops, their cash money, their dignity, or their childhood. The strange paradox that I think many of us activists who came to Palestine experienced was that when we went there, we were always so incredibly happy to be there. And of course, you could say we were just tourists. It wasn't our homes that got invaded. It wasn't our children that got hurt by the army or by the settlers. And this is also true, but it's not the whole story. Also, the kindness, the wisdom and the community and the courage and the generosity of our Palestinian hosts made us feel welcome and important. And the need to confront intense and sometimes a little dangerous situations put us in a constant feeling of what you might call flow, a feeling of intense presence. And then there's this amazing reward of actually doing something meaningful that we all need to do, even if it was just a small part. And the clarity that comes from seeing the occupation, the violence and the apartheid with one's own eyes, and know that you're not dreaming. Even as a tourist, the depth and scale of Israeli war crimes take on a different importance when you witness them yourself. As an American activist told me in 2011, Palestine has become the Spanish Civil War of this generation. And I think there's something beautiful about that. Of course, all these experiences only means that once you get home to Europe or the United States or Brazil, you can feel even more lonely. You have to listen to the ignorant voices of colleagues and news presenters, even friends droning on about Israel's need to defend itself. This is what is known as, in ISM, as Palestine hangover. During the years between 2012 and 2020, those of us who have returned to Palestine, can see how the mass resistance got a little exhausted in many places. As we all know, Palestinian villages that resist, even non-violently, are punished hard with night raids, military watchtowers, more kidnapped children, and restrictions on movement. And consequently, international presence also died down in Palestine. And where internationals who came to Palestine used to go there and meet people from all over the world, as well as from Palestine, staying in Al-Khalil over Christmas could be a very cold and lonely experience all of a sudden. And of course, with COVID, the world closed, and the Israelis could stop worrying about international activists coming through their airports and crossings. I'm sure the Israelis thought they had beaten international activism at this point. But Palestinian resistance never died out. Palestine is never closed. It took on new shapes, new groups were formed, new forms of resistance were invented, and new tactics were tried. In recent years, I've seen all this with my own eyes. It is also needed because Palestinians are under an enormous pressure right now in Jordan Valley, Masafa Yatta, in Sheikh Jarrah, and many, many other places. I want to make a single point here today. International activism is still alive in Palestine. ISM, the International Solidarity Movement, many other movements of civil resistance are still alive. And it means that those of us who want to join the Palestinians in that struggle, even for a brief moment, a year, a month, or a few weeks, that Palestine is waiting for you on the ground, ready to help you and talk to you about what we can do for each other. Even though those of us who lived here, we are not robbed or humiliated at checkpoints, we are all Palestinians. I hope to see you all in a free and prosperous Palestine. Thank you.